is again in session.
Thank you, Deputy Jones. In the Murray case, the defendant, Dr. Murray, is present with counsel as before. The people by counsel as before. Mr. Phillips, once again, is on the witness stand. All the jurors and alternates have joined us. Good afternoon again. Mr. Phillips, good afternoon again, sir.
Good afternoon,
You
Judge.
acknowledge, sir, you're still under oath and still sworn to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. This is cross-examination by the people. Mr. Walgren.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Phillips.
Good afternoon, Mr. Walden.
Sir, I believe, I just want to make sure I was correct, that, so you learned of Michael Jackson having a personal physician in May of 2009. I believe you said when you went to the forum after returning from a road trip.
That's correct.
And at that time, in May 2009, you had not yet met the defendant, Conrad Murray, correct?
No, I hadn't.
That's correct?
That is correct.
And then subsequently, you met Conrad Murray and realized that that was a personal physician that had been referenced when you went to the forum in May 2009.
That is correct.
Had you personally or asked anyone to express that there was a possibility AEG would, quote, pull the plug on the tour at any time during the events we've been discussing today?
No, it never gotten to that.
I'm sorry, never.
Nothing had gotten to the point where we felt we had to do that. Not to mention we had obviously a contractual obligation to Michael as he had to us.
Now, when you first met Dr. Murray, was it at the meeting in the first week of June 2009 that took place at Carrollwood?
I believe that's the first time, to the best of my recollection, that I met Dr. Murray.
And as best you can recall here today, that was in the first week of June?
Correct. That's the best of my recollection.
And did you have any information or any knowledge of what Conrad Murray was doing behind closed doors at the Carrollwood address in regard to treatment of Michael Jackson?
No.
Now, when was it then that you told Dr. Murray that he should look into Dr. Klein, or you expressed something about Dr. Klein? Was that the beginning of June as well?
It was at the end of that meeting that you just referred to.
During the first week of June?
Correct.
And so during the first week of June, you personally spoke to Conrad Murray and told him that he should look into Dr. Klein, or you informed him of Michael's visits to Dr. Klein as something of that nature?
To the best of my memory, it was after the meeting I walked over to him and said that I believe Michael is seeing Dr. Klein for some kind of treatment. Are you aware of that?
And did Dr. Murray respond in any way to what you said?
He was going to say, I believe he said either he knew or he was going to check into it.
Either he knew or he was
He was
going to
check into it. I don't remember what the response was.
Either he knew or he was going to check into it.
But he acknowledged hearing what I was saying.
Now, I think you'd used, Mr. Chernoff had asked you a question about the tour, and you said Michael Jackson seemed motivated and energized, and I believe the word used was receptive. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
In all your dealings with Michael Jackson during this preparation for the tour, and just, let's say into the month of June 2009 as you're about to embark on this tour, how would you characterize Michael's demeanor toward this pending tour?
Genius.
What do you mean by that?
He's a genius. There is no entertainer like him in the world today. I mean, he's not here anymore, but he's just an amazing, amazing performer. And his attention to detail was phenomenal, both musically and visually.
And again, as far as in these latter days of June 2009, from your dealings with Mr. Jackson, did he appear motivated and receptive and energized to embark on this tour and complete this tour?
I never felt at any point that he wasn't.
Now, you mentioned at the time that I think you said Paul Gongaware had contacted you, and I think that was the dude reference you made, that he said you needed to add more shows, correct?
Yeah, I was trying to sound like Paul from that conversation, which is hard to do. But yes, he was the one who called me and told me what was happening with the pre-sale. I was actually in rehearsals with another tour, and he called me in London. I was still there, and he called me and told me that.
And I believe your testimony was that you then, within, I think, 20 minutes or so, you had made contact with Michael Jackson, and he had agreed to these additional dates?
I called Dr. Tomei first, because the protocol in these things when you're the promoter is to deal with whoever the rep is for the artist. I called Dr. Tomei first. And then it was followed by a call from Michael Jackson.
And that same day, or a short period of time?
It was 20 minutes after I spoke to Dr. Tomei.
And Michael Jackson agreed to the additional dates?
Yeah. Well, first, Dr. Tomei called me back and said, yes, Mike will do another 19 shows, but no more than 50. We have to stop sales at 50, because we could have kept going because the sales were so strong. So we have to stop at 50. He will work out the schedule with Paul. Basically, that was the call I got from Tomei. And then 20 minutes later, Michael Amir called me saying he has Mr. Jackson for me. And I picked up Michael's call.
And that's when he agreed to the additional dates?
With the conditions, the two conditions.
Okay. And those two conditions, again, you mentioned that he wanted, I think it was 16-acre estate with very pastoral streams and rivers and land.
Rolling lawns, that kind of thing.
And isn't it true the reason he wanted that, and you mentioned he didn't want to be locked up in a hotel room, but the primary reason was he wanted his kids to have the best environment to play and grow up in as normal life as possible while he was on tour?
Yes. I just want to add that he was a phenomenal father. Phenomenal.
And you noticed that in your dealings with Michael Jackson and observing his interactions with Prince, Paris, and Blanket?
That is correct.
And he was dedicated to his children?
They were everything to him, in my observation.
And the second thing he requested was, again, for the attendance of the Guinness Book of World Records to be at the final show, because no performer had ever, or probably would ever, be able to complete 50 shows in that size arena. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Now, in this early June meeting, the one that you indicated happened during the first week of June, and there were concerns about Michael Jackson's nutrition and his weight, correct? That's what was discussed?
That was what was discussed.
And you indicated in questioning to Mr. Chernoff that when these concerns were expressed to Conrad Murray, he stated that Michael Jackson is in great health.
Yes.
And you left this meeting satisfied that any concerns would be taken care of.
I didn't have any reason not to.
And it was very obvious to you, in your words, that Michael Jackson had great trust in Conrad Murray.
Yes.
In the next meeting, then, the June 20th, 2009 meeting, at that meeting, concerns were expressed to Conrad Murray regarding Michael Jackson missing rehearsals.
Yes.
And at that meeting, Conrad Murray guaranteed that he would resolve the situation and that he would take care of Michael Jackson, or words to that effect. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the word was guarantee, but he was very reassuring.
And there was some comment made during that meeting that to Kenny Ortega by Conrad Murray, stating, "You direct the show, I'm the doctor, I'll take care of Michael's health," correct?
That is correct.
Just on June 25th, 2009, Mr. Phillips, when you learned of the situation and went to the house, you said you were not aware of the time, but you were guessing the time. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I know it was in the morning.
If the 911 call was placed at 12:20 and the paramedics didn't leave the house until sometime after 1 p.m.
It could have been that time, too.
Okay. I want to ask you about the very last night's rehearsal. You indicated you went to both the June 23rd and June 24th rehearsal?
Yes, I did.
And what was, on June 24th, 2009, what was your last communication or dealing with Michael Jackson?
Well, towards the end of, it was an amazing rehearsal. I had goosebumps, which doing this as long as I have, and as cynical as you can be about the business, it was just one of those incredible experiences watching him perform those incredible songs. I saw him hug Kenny and Travis in a real tight embrace, and then he went back to his dressing room, and then I walked him to his car.
This is Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, which was in the what we call the ramp of Staples Center, which is where the trucks come. Now, saying his car was there, and
That's
I walked.
the subterranean area?
Correct, into the backstage. So I walked down the hallway with him, and he put his hands on my shoulders. We were walking out, and he said to me, "You got me here. Now I'm ready. I can take it from here." And he gave me this big hug, and that was the last I saw him.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Thank you. This is redirect examination. Mr. Chernoff.
Mr. Phillips, you said that, I believe your quote was, "Never felt at any time that Michael Jackson wasn't ready for the shows." That's what you just said?
That is
All right.
correct.
And let's make sure I get this right. There was a meeting first week of June about Michael Jackson's health at his house.
And I was reassured that he was fine.
There was a meeting the 20th of June about Michael Jackson's health at his house.
Where I was again reassured by both Michael and by Dr. Murray.
And both times his doctor was asked to be at this particular meeting. Is that right?
That is correct.
And Kenny Ortega had been complaining that he was missing rehearsals, he was sick at rehearsals, right?
Right, and I became aware of it at
And in
that
fact,
point.
the whole show was pushed back a whole week, right? The start of the
Not
show.
for Michael's health. That had nothing to do with his
Was the show pushed back or wasn't it?
It had nothing to do with Michael's health. Yes, it was.
Okay. And after the meeting on the 20th, you personally attended the June 23rd rehearsal. Is that right?
Correct.
Which you said was an unusual appearance for you.
Both of them were, yes.
Now, if the concerts were canceled, would AEG lose money?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Were you insured?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Mr. Phillips, is AEG currently being sued?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Sustained. We'll go to another subject. Thank you.
Maybe we at least approach so I can
Sure.